Peter, this is Bill Harford. I apologize for disturbing you at this late hour, but I need your help.
Who is it that you want?
Oh, I'm very sorry. I'm looking for Peter Grenning, the owner of Rainbow Fashions.
Can't be too careful these days. Please. Is it any special costume you're looking for?
Yes. I need a tux, a cloak with a hood, and a mask.
A cloak with a hood and a mask.
Listen up. We didn't come here to play. We came here to glow. Fine lines, dark spots, dullness, no sweat. Just show up for 12 minutes a day.
It's your collection calling.
Answer with red and infrared light to stimulate collagen and firm your skin. Fight back against breakouts and acne-causing bacteria while you tackle your day.
Wipe away wrinkles.
Reward your commitment to lifted, clear, glowing skin. Be the GOAT you were meant to be with the undefeated TheraFace Mask Glow. Now get to work.
Let's go to our News 4 on-the-scene reporter at the Park Hill Towers.
This is one of a dozen sites being set up across the island where citizens are signing up to participate in the experiment. They are also being psychologically evaluated here to determine their mental status before they purge, and they will be evaluated again after the experiment if they survive to see how they were affected by the night that is being described as a societal catharsis.
I love Halloween because it is an opportunity for people who aren't normally artists to experience what it is to be an artist.
From the traditional to the unconventional, the creepy to the creative, the costumes, puppets, and floats at the 49th Annual Village Parade are elaborate.
How much, time?
6 hours. I started at 11 o'clock.
So why do they do it? The planning, the prep, walking the 1.4-mile parade.
You forget who you are, you forget about time, and you enter into a different sphere of being.
Two for Evil Dead, please.
That'll be $2.
Why are you wearing that stupid bunny suit?
Most beautiful ballroom in the country. It's going up, and for those that are interested, we got to get back to baseball. But you see the gold drapes? That's a knockout panel. We knock it in. You go. That comes out, and then you have essentially glass and exactly in the decor of the White House. I didn't know I'd be standing here right now because right on the other side, you have a lot of construction going on, which you might hear periodically. But that's a knockout panel, and that goes right into the ballroom. And the ballroom's going to be beautiful. So you'll have drinks, cocktails, everything on this floor. And then they'll say, welcome to dinner. You walk into the ballroom, Mr. Senators.
Looks like alive, huh?
Yes. It's wonderful.
Come. So, what color cloak? Black, brown, red?
Black.
Are you sure the good doctor wouldn't like something more colorful?
I don't think so.
Clowns, officers, pirates?
No, just the tux, the black cloak.
With a hood and a mask?
Yes.
Okay.
And you're going to see a ballroom the likes of which I don't think it'll be topped. It'll be the finest. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I love this.
I have one thing to say.
Sick. Do you mind putting your mask back on? Do you mind putting your mask back on?
I love this.
I have one thing to say.
Sick. But sick in a good way.
Mask. It's sick.
Obsessed.
It's sick.
Obsessed.
Brandon said it, but you must be hot.
I'm feeling so satisfied.
But sick in a good way.
Hi, COVID.
Hello.
I loved COVID's look. Thank you. Do you mind putting your mask back on?
Notice Kobit's detail, this 3D applique.
I mean, it just gets better. You should probably take the mask off.
Yeah.
Can you breathe in there?
A little bit. A little better like
It's a good look, but we want to keep you alive.
May I take your coat? You are a medicine doctor, yes?
Yes, I am.
Ah. Look, doctor, I have some problem with my hair, you know?
Your hair.
It's starting to fall down too fast. I lost in 2 weeks a lot of hair. Mostly here. Look at this. Here.
Oh, yes.
You see?
Yes.
And?
I'm afraid this really isn't my field.
What? You can't help me.
No, you should see a trichologist. It's a hair specialist. Mr. Milich, I've obviously left things a bit late tonight, so if you don't mind...
Okay. I'm in hurry too, doctor, to get back to bed.
I understand.
Shh. So, Black Cloak. Did you hear something? What is this? What is it?
At the same time, his old existence and way of life dies. The initiate transcending it is gradually being processed, reprogrammed, and incorporated into his or her new environment.
Because this is going to be transformative. It is going to be transformative on a personal basis, on a social basis, on a systems basis. We're never going to be the same again.
Reformed, reconstituted, and rebirthed into the new world that awaits at the end of the tunnel.
As a society, beyond just this immediate situation, we should start looking forward to understand how this experience is going to change us, or how it should change us.
Those long lines streaming into polling places around the country look like something you'd expect on the first Tuesday in November. But these images were captured on Mondays and Wednesdays and weekends in October, even September. They are portraits of an election that cannot be confined by a day or week or month.
I would walk through glass and hot charcoal in bare feet to make this election.
This year, many simply could not wait for Election Day, though they could wait in line.
We are willing to wait any length of time, yes.
After months trapped in your home, what's a few hours standing among fellow voters?
We'll wait in 30-degree weather for an hour and a half if we have to.
In return for that wait, some were rewarded with free entertainment. A few even got treats hand-delivered by celebrities like Paul Rudd and Mariska Hargitay.
Who says voting's not fun?
And everyone was given that precious sticker worn as a badge of honor. In Rochester, New York, those stickers adorned the grave of Susan B. Anthony, who was arrested for casting her ballot back in 1872.
People like Susan B. Anthony fought for our rights to do this, so don't throw that right away.
New York Times, of course, the newspaper of record in the United States. In an article titled The Mask, author Vanessa Friedman literally says the surgical mask has become a symbol of our time. However, it has long been a fraught symbol. The face mask is a symbol that hides but also communicates. We're talking about hidden meanings. Masks are everywhere and masks are nowhere. And Friedman says the mask has become the virus's avatar. According to the online etymology dictionary, the avatar has to do with the descent of a deity to Earth in an incarnate form. There's a thought experiment in philosophy and sociology referred to as the Martian scientist or the man from Mars or some variation. And the idea is that we can get an outside-the-box perspective, a view from the outside. This was done to great comic effect by Andy Griffith in his recording, What It Was Football, where he represents a simple country preacher happening across a college football game for the very first time and not understanding what he's seeing. The idea is to try and obtain some intellectual distance, some objectivity, by trying to suspend the set of assumptions that we normally bring to states of affairs when we perceive them or analyze them. So let us consider a pagan culture. Focus on one pagan, and then we bring her into a present context where people are wearing face masks. Throughout history, masks have had a very big role to play in world religions and spirituality. According to the Penguin Dictionary of Symbols, there are 3 main uses that one can trace through civilization. Start with carnivals, a Western Christian festive season that occurs before the liturgical season of Lent, which we just came off of. Carnivals are characterized by elaborate costumes, masks, allowing people to set aside their individuality and experience a heightened sense of social unity. The word carnival literally means raising flesh, remove meat, or farewell to the flesh. The last day of one of the most important carnivals is, of course, Mardi Gras, meaning Fat Tuesday, Shrove Tuesday, characterized by people dressing up in ridiculous disguises. Another name for a person who is so dressed is a buffoon, the fool, or the joker. But a mask is also, of course, the name for the false face that one puts on at a carnival. The Iroquois also have false face masks. They're actually intended to cure disease. They have a false face society. Donald Trump recently was in the news, and the allegation was that he had a false face in a picture that was widely circulated in the press. But false face can also have to do with the idea of being two-faced, as in the Greco-Roman god Janus depicted here. Two-faced can have the implication of being hypocritical. Trump in the news, calling the Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau two-faced. In the book Early Modern Women Poets, we read that Rosicrucian texts were always intended to mean one thing to initiates and another to outsiders. Now, the Rosicrucians were a 16th century esoteric movement. For additional details, you can see Mask video number 2. Texts and symbols often have a dual meaning. The New York Times, masks are something that hide but also communicate. They have a dual function. Now, Mardi Gras is intimately connected with the idea of being topsy-turvy. The COVID-19 outbreak has turned life topsy-turvy. Everything turned upside down. It played a role in Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame. 1 year ago, almost to the day, Notre Dame Cathedral in France caught fire inexplicably. The date was April the 15th, 2019. Notre Dame Cathedral, and indeed many other cathedrals all throughout Europe, in many ways symbolize Christianity. 1 year after the fire at Notre Dame Cathedral in France, churches are closed at the high holy day of Easter by the coronavirus.
And everyone wants to know, is this the new reality? It's too early to say that we're looking at something closer to a reformation. We're waking up to the new normal. When do we get back to normal? I don't think we get back to normal. This is an extraordinary time where we have to accept a new normal. Society will undergo a radical transformation. And if you're feeling alone, just remember, we are alone together.
Over these past few weeks, we've repeatedly asked, why?
I think that voting is important.
Why vote early?
Because this is the most important vote of my life.
Why wait in long lines?
Because there was a time when black people couldn't vote. They fought to give me the right to vote, so that's why I'm voting.
Speaking with voters, we heard a constant theme.
I just wanted to make sure it was counted.
And I just wanted to make sure my vote get cast.
In a year when so much seems beyond our control, voters could mask up and line up or mail in their ballots. The pandemic couldn't even keep away poll workers, a role often filled by people over the age of 60, a high-risk COVID group.
I don't want my grandparents out there working the polls.
So in their place, thousands and thousands of young people stepped up. Many of those youngsters are also voting for the first time.
If I'm not showing my effort, then I can't complain.
Well, in Detroit, great-great-grandmother Talou Massey cast her absentee ballot at the age of 103. Definitely not her first time.
I can remember voting for Roosevelt in 1940. I've done my voting in September, absentee ballot.
8 decades later, it's a civic duty that remains as important as ever.
It's your responsibility to cut the grass, to keep your neighborhood clean. It's your responsibility.
From the ashes, we rise up. We had Ash Wednesday. We want to rise up with Jesus at Easter. And I believe that there'll be some rising from this time.
her book, Magic and Alchemy, author Rosemary Gilley, summarizing the thoughts of occultist Aleister Crowley, writes that Crowley understood that magic worked forward or backward in time, and that the projection of a magician's will did not necessarily precede the effect. Mardi Gras in 2020 was held on February the 25th. That's one day after the Trump administration asked Congress for $1.25 billion for a coronavirus response, and 4 days prior to the U.S. recording its first coronavirus death. Mardi Gras was literally bound up with the beginning of the effects of coronavirus in the United States. New Orleans faces a virus nightmare, and Mardi Gras may be why. New Orleans is a center of coronavirus. Mardi Gras could be to blame. The media pointing you back to Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras is connected with masks. Today, everyone wears masks during Mardi Gras. Float riders are required to wear masks by law.
The rule is you can only give a penalty that can be performed in the room.
I'm tired of this game. I don't want to play anymore.
But my penalty! I've got to have a penalty!
My name a penalty. Come on. You can play our little tune in the manner of Johann Sebastian Bach.
The second use of masks is the use of masks in funeral rites. Of course, in ancient Egypt, famous death masks. A modern-day mask, this one from Freemason Albert Pike. In the Illuminati card game, inspired by Robert Anton Wilson's Illuminatus trilogy, the Death Mask card has some interesting text, quoting, "Whoever wears it can see a slightly different world through its staring eye holes, and when the mask is removed, the different world is the true one." End quote. The world after coronavirus, we will inhabit a different world. After the coronavirus passes, your world will not go back to normal. According to BuzzFeed, the world will be different, and so will we. The darker funeral connection, there are no funerals according to Reuters. Death in quarantine leaves nowhere to grieve. Funerals in Italy have been banned. The third use of masks, the theatrical. Let's turn a glance backward in time. On the musical stage, one of the more significant creations of the great Italian maestro Giuseppe Verdi was his 1859 production Un ballo in maschera, a masked ball. This opera was based on the sensational 1792 assassination of Swedish King Gustav III while at a masked ball. But political sensitivities of the day forced Verdi's libretto to use alternate character names and locations. On a considerably less ominous a basis and veering off into sheer fun is Eine Nacht in Venedig, A Night in Venice, the 1883 operetta that dedicated fans of Johann Strauss Jr. think rivals his more famous Die Fledermaus in terms of melodic exuberance. It is in the first act that the philandering Duke of Urbino hopes to impress the beauteous Barbara at the grand masked ball held at Carnival each year at his palace. Strauss sets the scene with one of his most infectious waltzes, sung by the four principals and a full orchestra. Of course, alles maskiert, that is, all are masked. One of the most popular works of the Soviet-era composer Akhram Khachaturian has been his Masquerade, incidental music to an 1835 play by that name by the Russian writer Mikhail Lermontov, staged in Moscow in 1941. What was of strange interest in the creation of the original play was that government censorship delays forced many rewrites by Lermontov to the point where he gave it up unproduced. The key part of the rather convoluted plot revolves around a masquerade party at an aristocratic mansion in which the hero, one Arbenin, falsely concludes that his wife Nina had been unfaithful to him with another man while all were at the masked ball. Arbenin kills his wife and then goes mad with grief when he realizes his error. It later emerged that the reason for the official obstruction was that the negative portrayal of masked balls as places of criminality implied criticism of a prominent family of St. Petersburg who were given to holding such affairs. Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut is worth mentioning. There are numerous scenes involving masks in the movie. But one of the most celebrated literary evocations of masks, however, is the famed Man in the Iron Mask saga out of 17th century France. His identity to this day is unknown, or at least not known for sure, but he was literally imprisoned in a variety of prisons for over 3 decades. Now, even though he's known as the man in the Iron Mask, in the article On the Trail of the Iron Mask, we read that he was actually masked with a black velvet mask. Maybe he had stay-at-home orders during a coronavirus outbreak. Similar mask worn by singer Billie Eilish. Man in the Iron Mask was actually made into a Hollywood production featuring Leonardo DiCaprio, Jeremy Irons, John Malkovich, Gerard Depardieu, and Gabriel Byrne. Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy is worthy of note. Not only was Batman masked in order, according to the story, to protect his friends, the villain in The Dark Knight Rises was also a masked man, Bane. One of the actors who acted in A Dark Knight Rises, one Jay Benedict, has reportedly died from coronavirus. Now, Trump has a number of different connections with masks. According to the left-leaning Conversation, Donald Trump's orange face may be funny, but this tanning historian says it masks something deeper. Protesters of Donald Trump wear orange paint like a war mask. According to The Guardian, why is Donald Trump obsessed with Bane? According to several news sources, Donald Trump's inauguration speech borrowed lines from Batman's villain. Trump told the crowd, "We are transferring power from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you, the people." And Bane, on the steps of Gotham's Black Gate prison, stated, "We take Gotham from the corrupt, the rich, the oppressors of generations who have kept you down with myths of opportunity, and we give it to you, the people."
And giving it back to you, the people.
And we give it back to you, the people.
Do you guys know what this represents?
Tell us, sir.
I don't know, maybe it's the calm before the storm. What's the storm? Could be the calm before the storm.
There's a storm coming, Mr. Wayne.
But what's interesting is the presentation of it in the media. The media is drawing our attention to The Dark Knight. After Bane delivered those comments, the prison was open and the prisoners were free all across the United States. As a result of the coronavirus, we find that inmates are being released from jails and even inmates being released from prisons. In some cases, reportedly convicted felons being released in the name of coronavirus. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention one of the most direct literary parallels that I can think of, Edgar Allan Poe's Masque of the Red Death. The story follows Prince Prospero's attempts to avoid a dangerous plague known as the Red Death by hiding in his abbey. So the story follows a wealthy person hiding from a disease in his home. He throws a masquerade ball, death enters, disguised, and, spoiler alert, everyone dies. This was made into a Hollywood movie starring Vincent Price.
Drop them.
No, I beg of you. Mercy, mercy.
Lord Satan, send me a demon, so I may know I'm to be your wife.
I want to help save your soul so you can join me in the glories of hell.
No, never.
Diamonds, rubies, emeralds, pearls.
Each man creates his own heaven, his own hell.
Let me see your face.
Consortium news, COVID-19, the American Mask of Death. MASQUE. This spelling of mask actually also has an additional tie-in, and that is that mask spelled this way was a form of festive courtly entertainment that flourished in 16th and 17th century Europe. Often the maskers, who did not speak or sing, were courtiers. In other words, they were the stars of the time. And they list here various kings and queens. In our time, this coronavirus mask has starred, in part, Prince Charles. It's often said that our celebrity culture is a kind of a royalty, but would you believe that certain celebrities reportedly have links to royalty? And one of them is actor Tom Hanks, supposedly descendant of King John. Tom Hanks is of interest not just because, as an actor, he has played the role of a symbologist in several high-profile films, but also because Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson shared that they tested positive for coronavirus. But now he feels better. Time magazine wants you to understand that Tom Hanks is a guiding light in the time of coronavirus. Time thinks quite a lot of Tom Hanks. Vanessa Friedman states that the masks that we wear have turned everyone into a muzzled pelican. I find this extremely bizarre language. When I look up pictures of pelicans just to make sure that I had it straight in my mind, it's not completely outlandish. It's certainly not an obvious comparison. I wouldn't have thought to make that comparison. And even now that she has made it, honestly, I don't know how apt it is. So it occurs to me that she may have had another reason. Now, I have no idea if Vanessa Friedman is familiar with alchemy, but in fact, pelicans are one of the 5 birds, so-called, in alchemy. According to the book The Alchemy Key, written by one Stuart Nettleton, alchemists call their vessels pelicans. An alchemist doing certain of his or her works operate on a vessel that is referred to as a pelican. At least that's one of the vessels. There are others. Here's a picture of that particular vessel. There is something called a volatilization. So you have to picture various chemical reactions going on in various of these vessels. Some of these are symbolized as a pelican feeding its young with its own blood. Now, where do they get that? Well, we can turn to T.H. White's A Book of Beasts, which is a modern reprinting of a medieval bestiary. Bestiary was a book that basically represented all of what was known or believed about animals at the time, and much of it was legendary. So we can see here Pelicanus. The pelican is excessively devoted to its children, but when these have been born and begin to grow up, they flap their parents in the face with the wings, and the parents, striking back, kill them. 3 days afterward, the mother pierces her own breast, opens her side, and lays herself across her young, pouring out her blood over the dead bodies, bringing them to life again. The idea of the pelican piercing its breast shows up in this print. Now you can see a number of symbolic elements, but we'll notice just a few things. First of all, you've got the letters I-N-R-I across the bottom. Now, we just came from the Easter season, from the Passion of Jesus Christ, and across the top of the crucifixes often emblazoned the letters I-N-R-I. Now, they have a different signification in occult circles than they do in Christianity. We see the pelican piercing her breast to feed her young ones. We see a compass, a symbol of Freemasonry. We see the rose and the cross, which is a symbol of Rosicrucianism. And remembering that corona is the Latin word for crown, look at the thing at the very top. We have a crown. We have a corona. So we have a very interesting emblem of this entire coronavirus fiasco in this picture right here. Now, the meaning of the pelican in Freemasonry is that it stands for the secret work by which man is raised. Earlier, we looked at the word carnival and said that it meant raising flesh. And what does it mean to be raised? Well, in Masonry, when a candidate has received the 3rd degree, he is said to have been raised to the degree of a Master Mason by going through the ordeal of the initiation.
From the ashes, we rise up. We had Ash Wednesday. We want to rise up with Jesus at Easter. And I believe that there'll be some rising from this dying.
Spirit, I will rise from the ashes of defeat. Rise from the ashes.
Couple of interesting Pelican connections. First of all, the state of Louisiana. The Pelicans are the professional basketball team for New Orleans. And we talked about New Orleans earlier being the center of coronavirus and possibly Mardi Gras being to blame. From the online etymology dictionary, we have an interesting connection between pelican and the albatross. So notice albatross is an alteration of Alcatraz and originally referred to a pelican. From the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, a sailor shoots an albatross and then has to wear one. The Alcatraz prison island off of San Francisco Bay is named for pelicans, or storm birds. Dennis Houck, writing in The Complete Idiot's Guide to Alchemy, states that the pelican stands for the distillation operation as well as the beginning of the red phase of alchemy. The red phase refers to the rubedo, or the reddening portion of the magnum opus, that is the great work. That can be delineated a couple of ways. One is in the 4-stage view, you have the blackening phase, the whitening phase, the yellowing phase, and then the reddening phase. But in the 3-stage view, the yellowing and the reddening are compressed into one. So the albedo is, so to speak, the daybreak, but not until the rubedo is it sunrise. And the transition between the two is formed by the citrinitas. This is according to the article Alchemical Process and Its Stages. Now I get into citrinitas in the previous video, but the upshot here is that the pelican is the symbol that we're moving into the rubedo stage, the final stage of the magnum opus. In the book Myths of the Afterlife, Anna Marie Hemingway states that during the Renaissance, many alchemists viewed the metaphor of the transformation of lead into gold as symbolizing the emergence of divinity within the human being. In other words, alchemy has to do with transformation. It has to do with the transformation of human beings. Lead into gold was seen by many just as a metaphor. It was another layer of symbol, if you will. The actual alchemical process is applied to human beings. And look at the language. Again, we go back to the New York Times article. Masks had a double function. Number one, to stop germs. But look at the second function, to transform people, to be scientifically minded citizens. The activation or the realization of some kind of divinity. The serpent commenting to Eve that if she ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, her eyes would be opened and she would be like God. Now this is sometimes referred to as the fall of man, but it's also sometimes referred to as the curse of Eve, and just by sheer synchronicity, I stumbled across this silent film, now lost, titled The Curse of Eve, and I wasn't even going to put it in there. Would you believe that this movie was produced by the Corona Cinema Company? Encyclopedia Britannica, in an article titled The Functions and Forms of Masks, lets us know that sometimes masks are used and reserved for initiations. If we are entering into a final stage of alchemy, if we are being initiated, if we are being raised in some way occultically, what are we being initiated into? What are we being raised to?
The question I want to ask is about St. Mary's and Three Waters. The question that's kept me up for the last 24 hours, the question I have to ask is, what if the worst, the most horrifying biological attack in this country's history was not the work of religious extremists?
Well, I don't understand. We know it was. They were caught. They confessed.
And they were executed, I know. And maybe that's really what happened. But I see this chain of events, these coincidences, and I have to ask, what if that isn't what happened? What if someone else unleashed that virus? What if someone else killed all those people? Would you really want to know who it was?
Sure.
Even if it was someone working for this government? That's my question. If our own government was responsible for what happened at St. Mary's, and three waters. If our own government was responsible for the deaths of almost 100,000 people, would you really want to know?
Our story begins, as these stories often do, with a young up-and-coming politician. He's a deeply religious man and a member of the Conservative Party. He's completely single-minded and has no regard for the political process. The more power he attains, the more obvious his zealotry, and the more aggressive his supporters become. Eventually, his party launches a special project in the name of national security. At first, it's believed to be a search for biological weapons, and it's pursued without regard to its cost. However, the true goal of this project is power, complete and total hegemonic domination. The project, however, ends violently. But the efforts of those involved are not in vain, for a new ability to wage war is born from the blood of one of the victims. Imagine a virus, the most terrifying virus you can, and then imagine that you and you alone have the cure. But if your ultimate goal is power, how best to use such a weapon? It's at this point in our story that along comes a spider. He is a man seemingly without a conscience, for whom the ends always justify the means, and it is he who suggests that their target should not be an enemy of the country, but rather the country itself. 3 targets are chosen to maximize the effect of the attack: a school, a tube station, and a water treatment plant. Several hundred die within the first few weeks.
That Three Waters has, in fact, been contaminated.
Authorities are attempting to control its deadly spread. Sent a wave of destruction throughout the underground.
Fueled by the media, fear and panic spread quickly, fracturing and dividing the country until at last the true goal comes into view. The true genius of the plan was the fear. Fear became the ultimate tool of this government, and through it, our politician was ultimately appointed to the newly created position of High Chancellor. The rest, as they say, is history. Tell me, do you know what day it is, Evie?
November the 4th.
Not anymore. Remember the 5th of November, the gunpowder, treason, and plot. I know of no reason why the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. First, the overture. Yes, the strings. Listen carefully, can you hear it?
Veuillez accueillir Mike Oldfield, accompagné du personnel du National Health Service et de nos invités d'honneur, les patients et le personnel du Great Ormond Street Hospital.
Please welcome Mike Oldfield and the staff of the United Kingdom National Health Service, and our very special guest this evening, patients and staff of Great Ormond Street Hospital.
Children. Performance here at Schofield. Those on stage dancing, looking after the children. democratic and infinitely tell itself civilized, if the sick person would provide medical aid, because that means
Okay. It's too many diamonds. Ah,
Yeah, that's too bright.
That's too bright. Well, anyway.
Oh, Mason, are you a Mason?
Of course I am. Okay.
That's a secret ceremony.
Well, you might as well put your pinky out when you drink your drink.
If we turn against each other based on divisions of race or religion,
Come on, try getting it out.
Ding, 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 bong. That's all, folks.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
One more bad break could bring the fall home. When I'm far from home, don't call me on the phone to tell me you're alone. It's easy to deceive, it's easy to cheat, but it's hard to get released.
Of all delectable islands, Neverland is the snuggest. It's not large and sprawly, you know, with boring distances between one adventure and the next. It's nicely crammed. When you play at it by day, with the table and chairs, it's not a bit frightening. But in the 2 minutes before you go to sleep, it is real.
J.K. Rowling, the creator of Harry Potter.
Dad, what's wrong with the telly?
Good evening, London. Allow me first to apologize for this emergency channel. I do, like many of you, appreciate the comforts of everyday routine, the security of the familiar, the tranquility of repetition. Bloody hell. I enjoy them as much as any bloke. But in the spirit of commemoration, whereby those important events of the past, usually associated with someone's death or the end of some awful bloody struggle, are celebrated with a nice holiday, I thought we could mark this November the 5th, a day that is sadly no longer remembered, by taking some time out of our daily lives to sit down and have a little chat. There are, of course, those who do not want us to speak. Just let me think. I suspect even now, orders are being shouted into telephones, and men with guns will soon be on their way.
It's Chancellor Settler.
Damn it! Why? Because while the truncheon may be used in lieu of conversation, words will always retain their power. Words offer the means to meaning, and for those who will listen, the enunciation of truth. And the truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this country.
Kate Hudson caught some heat after posting this photo online, alongside the caption, "Travel 2020. Commenters pointed out that this particular mask would be ineffective, and Kate certainly took notice. She responded by commenting on Gwyneth's post, writing, "At least you have the right mask." Selena Gomez took a trip to Chicago earlier this week and shared a photo of herself wearing a mask at the Chicago O'Hare Airport. While the 27-year-old didn't explicitly say why she donned the mask, fans praised her decision to stay safe while in crowded spaces. Brody Jenner shared a photo on Instagram last week of himself on a rather empty flight to Taiwan. Brody was actually heading to Bali for a friend's wedding, and he ran into someone else wearing a mask on the way back. His ex, Caitlyn Carter, who was on the same flight back from Bali. She proved the two are still on good terms with this hilarious video where she compared her mask to Brody's much more high-tech version.
One of us is going to survive the coronavirus, and it's probably not me in my flimsy mask.
Ron Howard was spotted leaving LAX earlier this month wearing a surgical mask for protection. Luckily for Ron's waiting fans, the 65-year-old took his mask off to chat and sign autographs. But experts warn that surgical masks aren't actually effective in protecting against the illness. Instead, the CDC recommends staying home, frequent hand washing, and avoiding touching nose, eyes, and mouth as the best ways to prevent contracting coronavirus.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Eyes are